Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. Now, next weekend on Sunday ends the 2020/2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo because last year they were supposed to have it, but it was canceled, of course, due to COVID-19. Now, I'm about to say something that may or may not be popular with the masses, but I have to say it. If the Olympics were held in my backyard, I would close the shades and tell everyone to lock up and clean up when they were done. Now, what's interesting is I'm not even sure exactly when I started to feel this way. Because growing up, I experienced the best Olympic moment. When it came in 1980, the Winter Olympics, when the U.S. hockey team beat the Soviets. Was there ever a better moment than that? Everyone coming together, the Americans against the Soviets, and it couldn't be better. Now, could it also be when the Dream Team started in 1992? I know most countries were using their professionals, but I kind of like that we didn't go down this road. And did we need professionals in basketball to do it? Maybe it's when we decided to do the Winter and the Summer Olympics separated so that we would have it every 2 years instead of 4. I am just not sure. As a sports fan, you would think I would love it, but it just doesn't move the needle for me. Of course, there are many good feel-good stories in every Olympics where athletes win gold medals and they work so hard. Their families have, put them through all these training programs. I remember speed skater Eric Heiden, gymnast Olga Korbut, Mary Lou Renton winning the gold in '84, Kerry Strug, the swimmers Mark Spitz and Michael Phelps, and of course Simone Biles. And it makes all the years of practice worth it. But what about the silver and the bronze medalists? Does anybody ever remember them? And again, if we've never had the Olympics again, would we miss it? Now, there are many that would, and I'm sure if you love it, that's wonderful too, and maybe you would really miss it. But there are so many other things going on. Plus, everyone gets so emotionally tied to these athletes, and if they don't win gold, we think they failed. Look at what happened this Olympics to Simone Biles, who had to quit. And maybe it's time to stop the be-all, end-all of winning at all cost mentality when it comes to one's health. Maybe it's time we just go back to only specialty sports in the Olympics. Keep the track and field, maybe the gymnastics. But do we really need more professionals playing basketball or baseball or pro tennis or even golfers? For them, it is just another tournament. And do they really need another medal? Really? Maybe we just need to go back to every 4 years total, make it a little more special, where we have the Summer and the Winter Olympics in the same year again, and stop this every 2 years. Who knows? I would actually like the opening and closing ceremonies to be actually on the same day. And I know that's pretty harsh. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She is a New York-based comedian, a voiceover actor, a radio broadcaster extraordinaire. She's also the co-producer of Brooklyn Heights Comedy Nights, one of the longest-running comedy shows in New York City. Please welcome the very talented Shelly Colman to Len's Burning Bush. And Shelly, welcome. Yay!
Yay, me! Yay! Yay!
Was that a good enough introduction for you?
My God, it's the best introduction I've ever had.
Well, there you go.
I don't think I've ever been told anything extraordinaire before.
Well, you are extraordinaire. We used to work together back in the 90s, back a few years ago, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
When we worked at Metro Traffic, and you were an exceptional traffic anchor in addition to the comedy. But I wanted to get a little bit of your take on my rant this week because I know I'm being a little harsh, and maybe it's just I've got other things going on in my life, and Olympics are just not as important as they used to be. That's usually what happens when you get married, you have kids, and you've got other things going on. So maybe that's all what it is. But what are your thoughts of the Olympics? Do you watch it? And if you do, that's great.
Okay, first of all, did you say Simone Biles?
Biles. I did say, I said Biles, but I might have said Baez, yeah. So, yes,
yeah, okay.
It's Biles. I think I might have said it once.
I didn't know she was a folk singer as well.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's fine. Now I learned something.
This is why I don't watch the Olympics.
Because you get the names wrong?
I get the names wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I have been watching because I like, there are certain sports that I like to watch. I like to watch swimming and diving, and I like to watch men's gymnastics because I love the idea of these guys throwing themselves around in feety pajamas. but they're just amazing. The things that they can do are astonishing to me. I generally don't watch the women's gymnastics because these young women are so young, and it just looks to me like, what are we doing to teenagers? Also because I'm jealous that I can't do any of that. And I was watching, I forget what sport it was, but they have, all over the place it says Tokyo 2020. And I'm looking at the TV and I'm going, wait a minute. I thought it was 2021. Is it 2021? I couldn't remember what year it was suddenly, just because they had this on the. So I got very confused, and so they should stop doing that. Don't do that to me. I'm too old for this.
They canceled it. That's why they canceled it last year. So it's the 2020/21. I don't know.
Well, yes, I understand that, but they need to change the signage, because I'm looking at the TV going, what the hell year is it? Now, mind you, I've been doing that for the last 15 or 16 months. So that's not new, but it's a little disturbing because I thought we were past that, and apparently I was wrong.
Well,
what was your question? I completely forgotten it.
Whether you like the Olympics, but you brought something up that was exactly kind of my point to the rant, is maybe we just, you mentioned sports that like the swimming, and you mentioned other things that you like, the diving, specialty sports that really you haven't seen in the last 4 years, and it just makes it even better when you watch the great athletes. But I really don't need to watch, LeBron James or whoever's in the NBA playing in a game that looks like they're playing in the NBA, and I don't really care, right? I think that's what it is. You're seeing much of the same, whereas it was nice when it used to have boxing and all these other sports that maybe you wouldn't see, like in the Winter Olympics. You got the luge, right? That's kind of, they're doing 160 miles an hour, and you got the Kenyans winning. I mean, that it's kind of nice, right? That's what I think I miss, and maybe that has made it hard for me to watch. But I'm one of the few that it's on, and I got to be honest, I haven't watched 1 minute of it, and I know everybody's been upset at the whole Simone Biles issue. But I just think it's kind of, it's ironic that she decides to quit because, they push these athletes so damn hard all the time. I mean, if you remember Carrie Strug, and it was like, you can do it. And she's sitting there with a broken leg, and it's just, and she wins gold, and it's like, and then she never was able to do it again, because she, the leg was pretty bad, and nobody cares about that, right? She got gold medal, and that's all we care about. But maybe it's time to just, just say, look, is this that important? There's so many other things in the world. Do we really care? Is it if your mental health is not good, step away, right?
Yeah. But then again, I mean, don't so many people find other sports that important? Like the Super Bowl is this thing that people just lose their minds over, and money is lost, and like everybody flushes the toilet at the same time. So we're running out of water because of the Super Bowl. Maybe I just made that up. I'm not sure. But I mean, to me, it's a sport. It's all sports, and it's technically, officially a game. So if it's important to you, maybe you just pull back a little bit, no matter what sport it is.
Now, I think you're right.
You're talking about the Winter Olympics. There aren't any events in the Winter Olympics that people watch anyway. So it's not like basketball or like there's no football in the Winter Olympics. So to me, that's the only time you're going to see the luge.
Right.
It's not like every year there's the World Series of luge. So it's all special.
True. Hockey is one that they started to do the professionals. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But
I forgot.
And I think that's what it is too. You could see the NHL, and it's like you look at that. But I agree with you. I think that if the specialty ones make it great, and I love the diving, the Michael Phelps story of winning all the gold medals. They always look for those good stories. And this year, of course, it's kind of a bad story, but maybe it's a good story. Maybe something will come good of it, which I hope. But that's kind of the way I look at it. But that's the Olympics for me. I'm just not that interested. And, there are plenty of people listening that are going to say, Len, you're being harsh on the Olympics. I love the Olympics. And I think that, and that's great if you do. I'm not chastising anyone for liking it. I just don't like it. Right?
Way to take a stand there, Landon.
Oh.
Way to put your foot down.
I don't try to claim that I'm, doing anything here. Just giving my, I'm just giving my honest opinion. So another opinion I want to give. It is, of course, the 40th anniversary of MTV is coming up in the next couple
Oh,
of
good
days,
Lord.
and I can't believe that it's been 40 years since Video Killed the Radio Star opened up MTV, but it's only been 14 years since they played videos. I think they only played 14 years of videos.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But think about it. They turned 40. All of the things, and who would have thought that that would have ever? I remember when it came out, and everybody was just glued to it to see, because all you did at that point was you were on the, you had the radio stations playing the music, but to actually see the bands, and and of course back then there were great videos. The Michael Jackson Thriller was like a movie, right? They
Right.
they decided. But what are your thoughts on MTV? Were you watching it a lot growing up, or?
No, because we didn't have cable.
Oh.
I didn't have cable until 2001. So
Oh,
I was
boy.
way behind everybody else. The only time I got to see videos was on broadcast TV on Friday nights. There was a show called Friday Night Videos. And it was maybe an hour long, maybe 90 minutes. And so they would show whatever the hottest ones were for that week. And that was it for me. I didn't know what other videos. So I was still listening to music on the radio. I was still listening to it on my crank
You had
record player.
You had a Victrola.
Yes, I did. I was listening to music on wax cylinders while all the other kids were watching MTV. So it was never really formative for me. And actually, I like video. I like to watch music videos, some of them, but a lot of bands that I like don't really. They're not glossy. They're not movie star types. They're just musicians. And so I'm totally fine with listening to them and not seeing them. I don't really care what they look like. Sometimes I'd rather not know what they look like.
Well, and I think that could be better now. Some of the, I like to say the geezers at Caesars, if you had them out, Rolling Stones and all these others that are like in their 70s. It's kind of crazy. Keith Richards, I like to say, has been, dead for 20 years and no one's told him, but he is.
I thought I said that.
Oh, you did? There you go. Look at that.
I thought I said that first. Well, I was wrong.
Oh no, you're more than fine. But it's so I just can't believe that 1981 was 40 years ago. That's I think the thing that gets me, that 1981 was 40 years ago.
Okay, now you realize, Len, that anyone who was listening who was under the age of 40 now is going, okay, that's enough.
They shut it off. I know exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. But
By the way, let me tell you something. When you first contacted me about the podcast and I was looking it up, I thought, wait a minute, Len's burning bush. I did not realize that you were a biblical prophet. I had no idea.
you didn't know that I
The
was.
book of Len.
It is the book.
I didn't know.
It's really kind of what's irritating me. So it's kind of like
Right.
the Prilotech OTC, which would be a great sponsor, I think. Don't you think? Len's Burning Brush brought to you by Prilotech OTC. If you've had the burning sensation, but
That's right.
I just, this is what
Are the
came of it.
Olympics giving you that burning sensation?
Yes, it's one of those things each week that I just there's things I don't like. I mean, it's funny.
Okay.
It's first world problems what irritates
Right.
me. Acronyms
Right.
I don't like. I did an episode on acronyms. I don't like that everything is, because half the acronyms in this world, if you ask people what they actually stood for, they wouldn't know
Yeah.
what they mean, right? Everything
Right.
changes. We've got, Kentucky Fried Chicken is now KFC, and this one, Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts is no more. It's Dunkin', and we've shortened everything, and I think everybody's in a rush for everything. You got to shorten it. Got to make the, LOL, right? The texting, I can't stand that either. So I'm just,
Get off my lawn.
I am. I'm the old guy on the lawn, and it's like Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. That's kind of what it is. But what's
Okay.
you have been doing so many things since we last spoke. You have, the comedy is what really excites me, because again, you're talking to somebody who always wanted to do it, but I've never had the brass, to do it, and you are doing it. And I had somebody on about probably 3 to 6 months ago. Her name is Tracy Campbell, and she's a friend of mine, but she actually got up at Gotham Comedy Stage, and she did a couple of sets, and it's actually on YouTube. And she did really well, and I was impressed. But it takes so much to put in the effort to get your material together. But you're doing it on Brooklyn Heights Comedy Nights. Talk to me about it. It's so hard, and how are you doing?
Well, first of all, the show, I started that show almost 9 years ago when I moved into my neighborhood that I'm in there now. And I just wanted to find a venue where I could, book 4 or 5 comics that make me laugh. That's really their only criterion. And that way I knew that at least once a month I would have the opportunity to perform. Because I'm sure this will come as no surprise to you, but in New York City, you cannot swing a cat without hitting a comic. And there's just so many, and there's so, the ratio of comics to people who want to sit and watch comedy, not a good ratio. So I figured I'm in a very residential neighborhood. Let me find this venue, just to, like, the back room of something, and see if I can get people to come and watch 5 comics for like 90 minutes once a month. So we started out in, a movie theater, a small independent movie theater. I did that for a couple of years, and it's never been, I think the largest house we ever had was like 34 people. But still, we moved from the movie theater to a cafe, and if you're in the back room of a cafe and you got 34 people, that's a full house. So that was very cool. And then I just kept doing it, once a month. I had 2 different co-hosts. One moved to Ohio, actually. He's probably listening right now.
Great.
Just because he's in Ohio, so that means that he's got to listen to you.
Has to be, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a local ordinance. And really, like I said, it's still just so that I have an opportunity to do something once a month. And I learned that I like hosting, which is cool because theoretically there's always a need for a host. And you were talking about getting the material together. That's not such a hard part for me. I basically just talk like I'm talking to you now. And if I think something is funny, I'll write it down and I'll try to put it in some sort of order with some other stuff. So that's not the hard part. The hard part is getting people to come and see me wherever I am, or more importantly, getting on other people's shows, because like I said, there's so many comics around, pushing oneself to the front so that you're seen, so that you get a spot somewhere, so that somebody books you on their bar show, so that maybe you get on late night on, one of the little comedy clubs in the city. That's hella hard, as the kids probably don't say anymore.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say about the comedy tour and the comedy clubs, and there's been several like documentaries recently about it, and they even had the Comedy Store with Mitzi Shore. They had, they talked about her on some of those, and we also had just a couple of. There was actually a show on Showtime, and there's another one that's on HBO, I believe, about making people laugh, because it's hard, and they show the ugliness too of the comedy clubs that is afterwards, or it's 2-3 in the morning and you're talking about your set and how that works. But I've got out to LA once, and I was at the Comedy Store back in the 90s, and that was kind of cool to go to the Comedy Store and see the comics out there. But it's real tough. It's one of those things where it's kind of like being a musician, because you see so many good musicians, but there's only so many that can make it, right? I mean, it's so hard.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there is one major difference between being a musician and being a comic, and that is, if you like play guitar, you can stand in your living room and play guitar, and that's cool. But if I stand in my living room and do stand-up comedy, that's psychotic, I have to have an audience in order to do what I want to do. Musicians can, at least theoretically, play for their own amusement, and they're still playing. They're still, making it better, learning, practicing. You got to practice comedy in front of people. Otherwise, you're just talking to yourself. And don't get me wrong, I do that too.
Hey, we all do. That's how. What do you think I started? You talked about hosting, and I had never hosted anything either. I do play-by-play for high school football, and I did some basketball, and I did all that stuff, and I've been on the air for traffic and news and all of those things, but I never did my own show or anything like that. So doing this was kind of cool, because now I kind of control how it goes. But it's not easy, even coming up with stuff for people to just, kid around for the 4 minutes or so that I rant, to come up with something every week. It becomes, it's work. And Jerry Seinfeld, who is a great comedian in New York, fantastic. He actually still goes to Gotham Comedy Club to try to perform because he works at his material. But he said it's like there's a speech he writes. He goes, you don't know how long it takes to write what he comes up with for those 30 minutes or and he talked about how people win Academy Awards and all these things, and he goes, well, somebody wrote that stuff for them and they performed and they did a great job as Bob Jones. But comics are the ones who are just out there doing the material and doing their own material. It's it's hard. The schlepping too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I won't dispute that it's difficult, but one of the a friend of mine was running an open mic for a long time, and then eventually she just stopped because she is, as we say, a woman of a certain age, and she got a job where she had to commute on the Long Island Expressway. I'm familiar. I'm sure you remember the LIE.
Of course.
Yeah. She had this long commute both ways, and she just said, "The hell with it! I can't do that. I gotta be a grown up. I have to pay my bills. I have a job." And then she lost her job. She got fired the day before she was going to quit. And I saw her yesterday at an open mic. It was the first one either of us had done in probably 2 years. And we were talking about it, and because I'm a little bit older than she is, and we're going, you know what? I said the only reason I can continue to do this is because it's still fun for me. I can't put any more pressure on it. I can't, I'm not. A lot of comics, pretty much all the comics I know, especially the young ones, are always worried about, I got to grind because I got to make it. And I'm going, look, man, I'm 150,000 years old. I'm not going to make it. I just am doing this because it's fun, because it's entertaining, because, I like making people laugh. That's the bottom line. And as long as that continues and it doesn't hurt me,
don't hurt yourself.
As long as it doesn't cause me any emotional or physical pain, okay, I'll keep doing it.
Well, I'm glad you keep doing it, and I would like to get people to come to your shows. So how can people get tickets, and how do they come to see you?
Well, unfortunately, I shut down my show last year because of COVID, and I haven't started it up again yet because I don't trust people. I don't trust comics. I don't trust anybody to come into an enclosed space and sit together and, I don't trust you. You say you're vaccinated. No, you're not. You're lying. So theoretically, we're going to start that up again, maybe in September, depending, of course, on the Delta variant and the Lambda variant and all the other Greek letters.
Lambda, mu. Yeah, I know.
Right. Other than that, I have a website. It's thatshelly.com. And I chose that name because I had a friend years ago who had an old Irish grandmother who was one of those old cranky women. She doesn't like anything. Well, I met her, and I was trying to be nice, but she was just awful. So I'm talking with my buddy, and she said something to me, and I said something kind of sarcastic back, and the next day I find John tells me, Nana Rose was what we called her. Nana Rose had something interesting to say about you. And I said, what'd she say? She said, she's awfully snippy, that Shelly.
That Shelly.
So that became my name among that particular group of friends. So that's why my website is thatshelly.com.
Well, I think it's great. I like that.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I couldn't get that on Twitter because somebody else is that Shelly on Twitter. So on Twitter, I'm awfully snippy.
Awfully snippy on Twitter. So we got that Shelly and then awfully snippy. Okay. Well, I like that.
Right, exactly.
It's good.
I have some some YouTube videos out too. You can find them under Shelly Colman and just spell my name right. Colma.
Right. There's no E. No E. Just Colman.
And only one E in Shelly too. I don't need them extra E's. I don't know why you people keep trying to give me extra E's.
I know. We don't need a vowel. We don't need to buy a vowel to listen to Shelly.
Exactly.
Right. That's the kind of
one E in Shelly, 3 E's in my middle name, no E's in Colman. That's enough.
So we're going to go back in time a little bit And did you
Yes.
watch Happy Days going in the 70s?
I did.
All
Yeah.
right. The
Yeah.
Fonz. You remember the Fonz and Henry Winkler, right?
Of course. Who could forget the Fonz?
Well, he's still being the Fonz, apparently. Henry Winkler took time to
Really?
call a childhood neighbor and wish
Yeah.
her a happy 101st birthday. So,
Holy crap!
yeah,
She's almost as old as I am.
exactly. She had heard the woman's granddaughter was trying to reach him, Natalie Lebovitz Zeidenberg, the event sales manager at Tavern on the Green, that her grandmother, Florence Keller, lived in the same building as Winkler back in 1955. And he was about 10, and he had a big crush on her back then.
Aw.
So he apparently called her, and someone in Winkler's family got in touch with the actor, and he's 75 now, Henry Winkler, the Fonz, but he's still the Fonz. She said he was so cool, and it's a great story that he's still trying to be the Fonz. I don't know if he wound up putting the jukebox on with his fist, but I think I always enjoyed that the Happy
Yeah.
Days. So I don't know if you saw, but did you watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Have you watched those
Nope.
shows?
Again, no cable.
No cable. Yeah, I thought maybe you stream now. Maybe you've come.
Oh no, I can't pay for TV, man. I'm trying to be a comic and a dog sitter, man. I got no extra money.
After the show, I'm going to give you my password to watch Better Call Saul. But Bob
Oh,
Odenkirk,
fantastic! Thank
yeah,
you.
Bob Odenkirk is apparently doing better now. He collapsed on the set of Better Call Saul, which is the prequel to Breaking Bad, and they tweeted out that he's apparently doing better and he's okay. And so that's good news. So that show is awesome. I think you should watch it. Watch Breaking Bad, and then go back and watch Better Call Saul, because it's just both of the shows are brilliant, written by Vince Gilligan and a couple of other people. But yeah, they great shows on those. I don't know if
You're trying to give me reasons not to leave my house.
Well, I mean, I'd like you to get out there.
To go out.
We'd like you to get out a little bit, Shelly. We want you to go back to
I
doing
need
comedy. Yes. So
Okay, I'll do what I can.
I'm looking forward to September when you're back. So let me know when you are. Maybe I
Okay.
could fly in. I'm actually going to be flying in to New York. I'm taking my son to see the Yankees and the Mets. He's never seen in person at Yankee Stadium, and I've never been to the new Yankee Stadium, which is not new anymore, but it's
Right.
Yankee Stadium and Citi Field. I keep wanting to call it Shea Stadium, but it's Citi Field.
Oh, I still do.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing. But the traffic reporting, but Karen McHugh was the reason, him and I were talking when we did the show together, and he said, you got to get Shelly Colman on. And I said, I reached out. I didn't think you'd remember me, and I am so happy that you did, because it's so much fun reconnecting.
Honestly, Len, I didn't remember you. I have no idea who you are.
Well, Mike Haggerty sends his regards too. Do you remember Mike? Because he says he
Okay,
remembered
good.
you. He remembered you, and he was on the show also.
Yeah.
But I posted on
cool.
Instagram that you were going to be on, and he said to reach out. So Mike Haggerty. Do you remember
Nice.
Mike? Yeah,
I will go back and
that you
listen to
remember.
his
You don't
show.
remember me, but you remember Mike. I understand.
No, I don't remember him either. Hell, I don't even remember Karen McHugh. Who is it? Who am I? I don't know anything.
In the words of Jerry, who are these people? Why are they contacting
Exactly.
me? Right? I don't know these people. Well, I appreciate so much that you come on here. You can like Len's Burning Bush on Facebook at Len's Burning Bush. Make sure you do that. You can follow on Twitter. It's easy at Len's Burning Bush. Pretty easy to follow, right? I even have a YouTube channel. So this episode, I record every weekend, and it gets uploaded, and it's on YouTube as well. Now, I don't have the video, but it's the audio portion. So I guess the kids say you got to like, subscribe, and all that. How's that work?
Oh, good Lord.
There's so many
I don't
things.
know.
And hit the bell or something to get notifications. Please subscribe. I can't get anybody, to subscribe to this. But people are listening, though, to the show. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. People are listening on Podbean, iHeartRadio,
good
TuneIn.
Lord.
You can even ask Alexa to play Len's Burning Bush. But make sure, Shelly, that you say Len's Burning Bush podcast, because you don't know what comes up. And again, people are going to think it's a religious-based show, but it's not, right?
I did.
Yeah, I know. And that's what it comes down to. The religion goes out the window when you listen after a couple of minutes. You hear this, right? But please come on again. It was so great seeing you after. It's been a little time since we've spoken.
Yeah.
What I love about this show more than anything is the catching up with friends, and I won't say old friends because we're not old, we're
I
you know,
am.
well, we're mature. How about we're for mature audiences, right? But that's the kind of thing I like. We're for mature audiences, but it's so great.
Sheldon, you're not old. I'm not saying you're old. I'm saying I'm old. I got to own it, you know?
But you look spectacular, so you're not old.
Thank you. It is
Yeah,
much better to look good than to feel good.
that's
And
right.
you know who you are.
You look marvelous, darling, and I love that. I love that about you. I do. I do. I'm so happy that we connected again, and let's not be a stranger. You will come on again, and I want you
Yeah,
on when
absolutely.
you're doing your comedy, and we will get
Okay.
people to come to the show. Do this, but thank you so much for coming on,
You're welcome.
and it's so great. And I'm Len Harvey. Thanks to Shelly Colman. We'll be back with another episode of Len's Burning Bush next week. So long.